Very special. I've said before, I've been very lucky to play for two amazing clubs. Obviously 12 years at Everton and then coming back here to sort of finish the cycle. But no, it's something I wasn't sure whether it would happen again. I wasn't sure if I'd made my last visit to Goodison as a player. Obviously this time it'll be in the away dugout, but I'm hoping it'll be a very special weekend.
Chris Wilder has just been talking about how valuable you've been to the club since you arrived here. He says you're training like an 18-year-old, and your experience has been vital for the squad as well. Has he talked to you about Everton specifically?
Not yet. Obviously we've still got a few days before the game. I'm sure he'll be picking my brains between now and then. But as you know, the Premier League's such a big league, and now everyone knows pretty much everything about everyone, so we'll be fully prepared for the weekend. It's nice that he said I'm training like an 18-year-old, but that may be a little bit of a slight exaggeration.
In terms of leaving Everton, how difficult was that decision, and did you have the option to stay on?
The option didn't materialise in the end. I think it was we had a sort of a running dialogue between the last sort of couple of months of the season. The club were explaining which direction they were going in. They were hoping to sign a couple more centre halves, so they sort of said to me, if we can't get any of those in, there may be a slot there for you to have a similar role to what I did last year. So we waited and waited. As things progressed, Marcel and the manager decided it was probably better for me, if I wanted to continue playing football, to go and find somewhere else. So no hard feelings. We were open, with each other throughout the process, and so it wasn't nice, obviously, getting the phone call and knowing that I was leaving Everton, but it's part and parcel of football. I got my chance as a young lad due to someone else being moved on, and hopefully that'll be the case at Everton.
Has it been a strange week this week with off the field headlines?
Yeah. Like I say, I've not played too much football, so I've not been needed too much, but obviously with this game coming up, I knew I may be thrown out there, but like I say, I've got a specific role here. I do want to play some games, but I understand that I'm going to have to bide my time. The lads have done fantastic to get where they get to, and we've had a pretty decent start. Obviously there's things to improve on, but my role here is, like you say, to use my experience. It's a long season, and we need to make sure that we keep progressing the way we are. And
how important is the mentality off a good performance last week but a defeat, and then you've got Liverpool next week, so is it difficult to get the mentality right? Is there extra pressure on this game?
It's difficult. I think one thing I've tried to say and I tried to explain, we can't look too far ahead. You look at fixtures, you look at group of fixtures, and you try and think to yourself, if we can get a certain amount of points from here, or we know we might struggle here because it's really tough. If you look at the Premier League so far, there's been many games that you'd have called the opposite way. So it's a fantastic league, but one that's very unpredictable, and for us, obviously, being the underdogs in pretty much every game we're going to play, we need to make sure that the Premier League stays unpredictable as well.
And just a more general question on the art of defending. You've been in the game a long time, playing at the top level. We saw Manchester City get beat last week, playing out from the back, and we've seen it a lot where teams have surrendered possession. Has it changed a lot since you started?
Yeah, because if an incident like that happened once in a game, you'd be guaranteed, especially the manager that gave me a chance, Neil, you wouldn't dare do it again. So it's just a different thought process, different mentality. Football has moved on. Even the new rule with the ball obviously not having to leave the penalty area, which is different in itself. Football does move on. Teams will play that way. Teams will have a high press. It's what makes this game fantastic to watch. I do believe it's the best division in the world, and I'm sure the reason for this is not only obviously playing out from the back, but everyone trying to outdo each other. Do
we have to accept, though, if you're asking defenders to play out from the back, that they will sometimes make mistakes and surrender goals?
Yeah, if you play with fire, you get burnt, don't you? So unfortunately or fortunately, that's made a lot of footballers' careers. In defence now, the ball playing centre half is a key aspect. So is a ball playing goalkeeper, which I never thought I'd be saying 15, 20 years ago.
Thank you.
It's a bit of a gift, isn't it? As a member of the Centre Halves Union, this new rule that's come in, did you all sort of wince and go, well, come on a minute, as Tim's just said, these mistakes could be a bit more regular now?
Yeah, I didn't mind the rule, because if you got a short pass, you just stepped into the box and you got a free goal kick again. But no, it's just the way it goes. The game is always trying to develop, and the way the game looks the best is a nice attacking, free-flowing game. So Like I said, that starts on the back now. There obviously will be times when you need to squeeze in and go a bit longer, but it is like a game of chess, isn't it? A tactical game. If you're going to play out from the back, it's how the opposition stop you and potentially pinch the ball and get a chance. So it adds to the whole coaching method and all sorts that goes on these days.
And as you're very aware, in the Premier League, everything gets analysed and analysed and analysed again. That mistakes are going to be highlighted to that really specific degree now, aren't they?
Yeah, so it's tough to get over, but that's why you've got to have the belief. Like I said before, if you're going to ask your players to do that, like I say, you can praise them when it comes off, when there's a really nice attractive move that leads to a goal, but as I said, it'll get scrutinised to the ninth degree if it goes wrong. But I'd say it's part and parcel of football. It's what we have to live with as footballers.
And Chris has just been talking about, well, essentially mistakes at either end of the pitch for Sheffield United this year. When you've not won, there's been nothing fundamental. It's been an individual error, or a centre forward has missed a chance. That could be easier to rectify, couldn't it?
Well, that's what we hope. We're under no illusions. We are learning on our feet. I think it was 8 debuts on the first game of the season. But at the same extent, it's not an excuse, and it's not something that we want to continue. We don't want to be sat here in a month or two's time and realise that we've given another 2-3 goals away through our own mistakes. It will happen. I'm not saying we're going to be perfect and every goal that is scored against is a 50-yard screamer. There will be the odd mistake, but for us, in the first 5 games, we probably give away 2 or 3 goals that we feel a little bit of communication, a better choice of pass would have helped us get some more points. But at the same extent, it's where we are. We will talk about it. We openly talk about it in the changing room, and it's something we're looking to improve on. And
how much do personal relationships rely on that? I mean, clearly you're the most experienced Premier League player. I think Chris Basham's played a little bit, and the other two don't have that and are at the younger end of the scale. So where do you fit into that, both maybe to console them or set them right, if you like, or instruct them?
It's not so much an instructing them, but yeah, I'm there. We talk before the game, during the game, half time and things like that, and that is my role. And I do feel that the lads don't mind hearing my voice, which is a key aspect. Sometimes you will get the relationship where someone doesn't need that at that specific time, but the lads, I get on really well with, especially like you say, the close-knit unit of the sort of centre halves and things, and it is something we talk out and we discuss. If a mistake or something does happen, we try and figure out the reason why, decide how we improve on that in the future, and hopefully you'll see the benefits throughout the season.
Because how much are you enjoying this role, almost that's painted now as the elder statesman, which is difficult for us all to say, probably you to hear again, that does it happen regularly? Is it a daily thing, just pre-match? How does that kind of work?
It's just natural. It's just, like I say, if depending on how the player's doing, if the player's really confident and everything seems to go well, there's no point me overthinking it and just trying to have a chat. But you can see sometimes people are a little bit down, even before, at half time or after the game and things like that. And as you've played in the game long enough, you sort of pick up on those moments. Sometimes you're best off leaving people alone if they look a little bit angry, a little bit frustrated. But like you say, I've had fantastic older pros do that to me throughout the years, and it's helped me tremendously. And hopefully, if you speak to them in the next few years or so, they'd be saying something similar about me.
Clearly, the primary focus for you is still to get out there and play as much as you possibly can. But does it whet the appetite further for a coaching role, even in 2 or 3 years, I suppose?
I'm not sure. The only aspect is obviously it's a tough couple of years to be able to get all the badges and then find the right place. Obviously, I've been fortunate enough football-wise to find the right place to come to this year, but coaching isn't that easy. I've been to St George's Park a lot of times, and there's a hell of a lot of fantastic coaches without jobs that are trying their best. So it's a difficult one for me to see that role taking part. But I suppose we'll move to the conversation now. I am doing a slight sort of similar role as I am now, still playing. But I say I'm desperate to get out there and play some minutes. But I'd say at the moment it's all about what we do as a team and a squad, and we're doing okay. What's
your assessment from this side, looking at your old team, Everton, then, and their start to the season?
Obviously, great home form. We're getting a sending off in the first game away from home and getting the stalemate there. They've not got momentum since. I think most people expect them to go to Aston Villa and do well. It didn't happen. Bournemouth again. Great start to the game, but unfortunately went 1-0 down, and we know how difficult it is to overturn a deficit in the Premier League. So I think a little bit up and down, and I know the manager won't particularly like that. He'll want the consistency. I'm sure we get the consistency. But yeah, again, it's if you look at the team again, it's a little bit changed again from last year. Everton don't seem to be able to have a continual starting 11, starting sort of 13 for a matter of time. But I'm sure the manager will get to that point, and the consistency levels will come.
I'm going to say it's a funny thing with Everton just finally, isn't it? You had some great results against, say, Man United at home, beat Arsenal, and yet at other times look really susceptible, and that appears to still be the case, doesn't it?
Yeah, but as I said, there's probably 2 or 3 people that are coming to the starting 11, or people that are trying to get in the starting 11 that haven't been there too long, and it's a difficult job as a manager to keep putting in 3, 4, 5 new faces season upon season. So I'm sure he'll be happy when it dies down a little bit and he can pick from the same pool of players. But yeah, that's one thing they need. They've got a fantastic squad, a great coach, and obviously a fantastic stadium to play in front of. So they will get there. It's just a little bit of time, but I'm sure Evertonians are a little bit tired of hearing that.
Good man. Cheers.
Hi Phil.
How are you?
Good mate, thank you. With your Premier League experience, has it surprised you how Sheffield have adapted to the Premier League under Chris this season?
Not really. When I came in, obviously the first few training sessions, I could see how good the squad was, how together the squad was. I was lucky enough to get in and able to go and spend 4 or 5 days in Portugal, and we had a good few sessions out there. Obviously had a good game over there, and it sort of made you realise that we do stand a good chance. Obviously, people, because we've not got massive household names that have, played a lot of Premier League football, and we didn't spend a tremendous amount of money in the summer. People have knocked us, but in amongst the squad and the staff, the belief's always been there. I think when you've done what these lads have done over the course of the last 2 or 3 years, you can't do that with great determination, without great determination and self-belief. As the season edges further and further in, and obviously hopefully the results go positive, the lads will only pick up more of that spirit, and that's what I'm trying to get into myself as well. Being part of the group, and we need to keep that going for as long as possible. It's too easy to lose confidence in this division, because you do play against some fantastic players week in, week out. But as it stands at the moment, as you can tell from the previous couple of years, the momentum's still there, and that's key for us at the moment.
And have you seen the players' confidence grow? I mean, I know we're only 5 games.
Yeah, it's obviously still early days, but I think you can see that getting a draw first game of the season was massive for us. Not just because obviously it was a great away point, but I think that you could see the belief. Lads gone there. We went toe to toe with Bournemouth. It was a warm day. I know it probably wasn't the best game in the world, but it probably made people realise. You always tell yourself you're able to play this division. You're capable and all sorts, but until you've actually been there and done it, there's always those question marks. And it's fantastic to see that the lads have come, ticked that box, and looked to kick on onwards.
It's interesting hearing you talking about the art of being a centre half, because I seem to remember you used to hate playing there. You've not made a bad fist of it. I suppose you're quite glad somebody did shunt you there back in the old days.
Yeah, obviously it's due to the fact we didn't have anyone else there. So midfield was a time. I don't think I'd still be running around in the middle of midfield at 37. So the position change obviously helped me elongate my career. It's given me obviously international football as well. So maybe the change of idea of what a centre half should be as well. Obviously I'm not the tallest. Probably before my time it was probably all about strength and height. And a bit more mobility and stuff came in during my early days, which probably helped me get to where I've got to. Obviously now it's a bit of everything and a little bit of step-overs and all sorts on the edge of the box.
What was the point then when you thought, actually, do you know what, I probably shouldn't moan about playing here? It's
probably when I went to Everton. I had 2 or 3 different positions. I played right back, I played centre mid. I was even asked to sort of man mark people. I think when you're running around after someone else and not really concentrating on the ball, I thought maybe I need to find myself a home, and thankfully I did that the sort of middle part of the first season at Everton, and felt really at home.
You mentioned about you've had some really big sort of senior players that have helped you. Just who are they now? Did they help?
Well, obviously coming through the Sheffield team, we didn't have any money, so the gaffer was just trying to get people in and out. We had obviously Stuart McCall came, Wayne Allison, and obviously later on, Sylvain Distin, he kept on playing. Tim Howard, these people have played till pretty much nearly 40. So just to name a couple that played on their later days and did really well for the club they were at. So you look up to those people. At the time you're having normal conversations. It's not anything patronising or anything crazy. But obviously looking back, you realise, I think Wayne Ellison said to me when we got to the playoff final, the 2 FA Cups, he probably said this could actually be your best ever season. I was thinking I'm only 19 at the time, so I hope not. But he was right as far as memories and stuff go. It was definitely up there as one of my most successful seasons, other than the fact that we lost everything. But like I say, these little things that come back into your mind and stuff as you go along sort of help you on the journey.
And you've taken the step that a lot of players in there are taking now, aren't you, where that move into the Premier League. So it's not just sort of the experience that you've accumulated along the way, but you've also been in precisely the position that a lot of these boys are in now, where you've probably heard all the stories about how big and scary it is, and but
we're exactly the same. I think if you look at the squad that we went up with, I don't think that cost particularly too much money again, and we were pretty much wrote off. We held our own for the majority of the season. A few things didn't go our way, and it didn't turn out perfectly. But yeah, we've pretty much been in exactly the same situation, and going to these massive venues, the stadiums that you see. I think the hype's obviously a lot bigger than it was then. I think you get to see a lot more football. You can do a lot more studying and things, and things are a lot more clinical probably than they were obviously when I came through the first time round. But it is very similar, and I've tried to say before, we're a very good football team. We know it. It's just everyone else is yet to realise.
Speaking of similarities as well, obviously Sheffield 2 Club City, Liverpool 2 Club City. It's the 2 clubs as well, and I'm not looking to trip you up here with the other side of Liverpool or here, but who both sort of position themselves. I mean, Everton, the People's Club, they both like to sort of position themselves as being quite down to earth and a little bit more, don't they? Is there similarities
definitely
between the two?
Yeah, 100%. I've both been in football for a long time as well, and that's why I said before I'm tremendously proud to play a part in both of the history. But yeah, Everton did a lot for the community, a lot around the place, and a fantastic family club. And you can't say anything else different about Sheffield. It gave me my chance. I felt at home here. It was a really tough decision to leave, a lot easier decision to come back. And like you say, we want to stay in this Premier League for as long as possible, and then start making these Premier League memories.
Yeah, you mentioned about the similarities between the clubs and everything. Goodison Park and Bramall Lane. Do you see similarities with the crowds there? I mean, they'll if you're pouring it in, they'll all get behind you, but they'll find out people who aren't as well. Yeah,
definitely. Honesty, I think, is the easiest way. That's all that both fans expect. I know I heard the manager say, well done for. Someone was saying, well done for running round, and he said that's the minimum he expects.
Yeah.
And that's true. Both stadiums, obviously, old football stadiums, square, which I quite like as well, which makes the atmosphere fantastic. And like you say, they both make a hell of a lot of noise, get behind you, and it will be difficult at the weekend. Also, they expect a certain style of football. So the Evertonians will be obviously hoping and expecting them to beat Sheffield, and vice versa. We'll take plenty of away fans there that will make plenty of noise and look for us to do something special.
It seems like the clubs are sort of old school, but the new school as well, aren't they?
Well, definitely. Same with the manager. The manager gets called old school, but he's far from it when you look at his tactics and the way he sets us up. It's just obviously the way he speaks, being a Sheffield lad.
Yeah.
Sorted.
Thanks, Jack.
Right.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
I can't do my pre-hab and gym session and all sorts that never use that.